and welcome to Center for Victory's podcast of Your Best Day Yet. Here at Center for Victory, we're here to help unlock, reinforce, and enrich relationships through personal and professional development. I am the Chief Victory Officer here at Center for Victory, Eric Guy, back by popular demand. Finally, after she got into her new role after college, is our wonderful Chief Joy Officer, who I just got the joy of spending this morning with and hanging out a little bit. She's a lot closer now, but very busy. But brought her back in the studio to really ask her some questions, because a lot of people often ask us, kind of some of the things that we do in our home. And I know you get a lot of questions. I get a lot of questions. Your mother gets lots of questions. Your brother gets a lot of questions about, how we roll and kind of what we do. And I thought we'd take some time because, I don't know if you all know this about Faith, but she graduated high school when she was 16, got out early, went to college, was able to graduate college at the age of 20, which was just this May.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which was very exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time, because she's a teacher, and that's about the time that folks start interviewing for teaching positions. And you're very fortunate to have a lot of interviews. Some you already had to say no to because you got one. And the great thing for us and folks that are listening and watching is that she is super duper close.
Yay.
So she doesn't have to go away. But I wanted to talk about something, because I think a lot of people just attribute a lot of things to luck. And there was definitely no luck in your situation. I think if you would have added my grade point average, if you had times it by 2, it would have equaled yours, maybe. Okay. But you did a lot of hard work, as did your brother. But, since we have you here today and not him, I'm going to ask you a couple questions that might help some folks that are tuning in and really listening and watching. So we're going to call this, was it magic?
Ooh.
Was it? I don't have a magic wand. Your mother doesn't have a magic wand. Although sometimes I wonder, because I think she gets me to do things I don't know how she does it. Okay. But the whole magic idea, it's not luck. You got a great job. Tell us what you're doing now. So you're real close here.
Oh, so I am the 6th grade learning support teacher at Dutch Ridge Elementary. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is super awesome. I have been taking on an interesting year just because it's so new, but I mean, it's been really great. It's been a lot of learning curves. It's been great to know new people and connect with new people. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm up to job-wise. So I live close by. When I'm not at my job, I'm normally around.
Oh, you did that too. We forgot to mention that. You did buy a house.
Yeah. Crazy.
Which was fantastic, and only 4 miles away, which is fantastic for us. We love that you're close by, and that gives you a little bit of space.
But not too much.
Not too much. Yeah, not too much. I could still get over there real quick. True. But yeah, you've done a lot. That whole progression for you, and I actually am trying to remember right now. And it's like, when was it that you decided that you were going to graduate high school early?
This is going to sound terrible because it's my impulsiveness will show, but I was watching, I talked about it with Mom, because she's like, oh, hey, you only need 0.5 credits to graduate early extra, not just 0.5, but I need half a credit extra to graduate early. And I was like, I don't know, maybe. And this was about a week before school started. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was watching a YouTube video and I saw an ad for a college under the video. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll just go. And that was my decision making. It wasn't even like it was rational, but there was just a part of me that was like, yeah, this is my calling. This is my sign. I need to just do it. And I didn't really think about I actually have to apply to colleges and do the actual thing. I mean, I applied to 2, went to 2. So, it wasn't really thought out, but it was certainly good that I did, because now that I'm in the job force or whatever, the field, I'm glad I didn't wait another year.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Do
Yeah.
you think it was, because I've been accused of going at things pretty full tilt sometimes.
Wonder where I get it from.
You regret that or no?
No, I think at first I did because I was like, oh man, I'm really not emotionally ready for college. And I like the college that I had picked first was 4 hours away. And I don't like being away from you guys. So it's not cool at all. And it was just like I felt like I grew up in that environment of a college. So I needed to push myself. It was a Christian college. And I pushed myself to not be there and to just test what I believe in a real way. And it was a rude awakening. So my first year was pretty hard. But after that, I mean, it was a lot of learning, a lot of growing, but I don't regret anything about going early, at least.
I think the only thing that I regret is letting you go so far away. But I think probably anybody would say that. But
Sorry, I was a boomerang.
Yeah. I mean, because I can remember, I think you were 2 weeks in, and because I remember eating at the Olive Garden or something. We went to some Italian restaurant out there.
I remember going to Wendy's.
Yeah,
Maybe it was Olive Garden.
Yeah, it was because I remember I'm like, oh man, like I just made an excuse to go out there, and I went out for like just somewhere close by for like an hour meeting, just to see you. But I mean, there were things that you did, and this is the whole thing that we want to talk about
The
today.
magic.
Yeah, like what can you really attribute your success to? Like what steps do you take? Did you learn? And I know that's kind of a wide open question, but what are there like, what would you tell somebody? Like there are other people out there. There are other people, there are other young people out there in high school that might want to do that. There are other people out there in college that I know can do that because I talk to them every day. Right. And I, what do you think really are the things that not to make it luck? Like this is like, if you do this, and it's just a few things, it doesn't have to be an all-inclusive list, but what do people really need? Like I want somebody to listen to this and go, yeah, I'm going to do that. That was the push that they needed, not just like college ed.
Yeah. Like they weren't watching YouTube. And I literally was eating mac and cheese, in the height of luxury in my room. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. And I think too, it helps, and I'll get into this in a second, but it helps that like Josiah was so driven. I don't, whatever he's having. Like it was just being around people that didn't seem weird to was definitely, the ad was kind of the icing on the cake, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe the cherry on top because it was that small of a, thing. But I look back at college and I look back at, obviously I made some mistakes along the way. I've learned a lot about myself, about other people. It took a lot to come out of my shell. Not in a way that was like socially, but just I think everybody can improve on the empathy and understanding they give other people. And it wasn't until I started really getting in the field of teaching that I started to realize, oh, hey, maybe not everything's about you. And that it was like, as terrible as it sounds, we're naturally very selfish people. So to have that finally come to light and be like, okay, you have a bigger calling than just showing up, not being intentional, and leaving. These are people who actually depend on you, like little people who you're shaping to be successful people, hopefully, in the future. So I think what started my idea of this magic, this success that I have now is just my morals, where I came from. You guys set the foundation. So it does
so your mother.
Well, depends on that. Don't tell her that. Well, she's gonna hear it. Sorry, Mom. But no, it depends on like the situation. Mom is the brake pedal, and I knew that I needed a brake pedal because, as we heard a second ago, my decision making is fast and not always rational. And she is still the rational one. And you were the one that was like, oh, you're made for so much more than just being like, not lazy, but just content, kind of complacent with where you are. And I always feel like I'm not doing enough. So that pushes me to do more, but in a reasonable way. I did learn how to say no in college because
Good.
eventually, when you've taken like 21 credits,
Yeah.
maybe this is not the best choice to do something else on top of this and on top of that and lead this and lead that. I get so excited to work with people.
Yeah.
And I think too, the magic comes from knowing who you are. Like
Mhm.
I went into college and I had no clue that I had so much to learn. Like I thought I knew who I was, but
Mhm.
you start to be around people who don't know who they are and you're like, "Oh, maybe I had it figured out a long time ago. Maybe I didn't. Here are things I need to improve on. Here are things I."
So the self-awareness piece, yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that again, it always comes back to my morals that were placed by or encouraged by you and mom and Josiah, even Josiah, because I
Mhm.
obviously look up to him so much. And seeing Josiah be successful in school, I was like, oh yeah, I want whatever he's having. It's the piece of the pie. I'm like, man, I watch people who can do it. Why can't that be me?
Yeah, so one of the things before I forget,
Yeah,
I didn't mean to cut you off,
that's
but
fine.
one of the things is I want you to think about your little kiddos watching this. Um, One of the things that I want you to talk about that you did very well all through school was you never hung on excuses.
Mm,
Um, so guys, if you don't know, Faith has dyslexia, and she never wanted to use that as an excuse. And I think it's great, especially for what you're doing now. And I know that's difficult. I mean, you just heard me. What about a half an hour ago, keep mixing up my D's and B's. So,
yeah,
I know that's difficult. I think it was more difficult for you than it was me, but you did not use that as an excuse. And
yeah.
I think that's some magic, right?
Well, like I think about like the umbrella term of being like dyslexic, and I think as a teacher we throw it around a lot for students who just learn differently. And I'm not going to get on that soapbox. That's like a whole nother podcast.
Right.
That's at least like a 2 episode one. But I think for me, there was never a reason to think I was dyslexic. There was a reason to think that I'm great. There was a reason to think that nobody around me was saying, "Oh, hey, you're dyslexic. You can't do that."
Right.
And there was no thought in my mind that was, "Oh, I'm dyslexic. I can't do this." It was, "Oh, I'm dyslexic. That means I have to do this. That means I have to work harder and do this." The motivation I had was just, oh, well, I want to prove people wrong, which not that that's a great thing, but from an early age, it was, well, I have to do this because the world is telling me that I can't, and I need to prove to myself that I can.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I look at my students and I look at them who are very similar to me in a lot of ways, like who allowed that to be okay to say, like, oh, you know what, you'll maybe get lucky someday and you'll be successful and you'll do what you want to do, but you shouldn't even really set the bar that high.
Right.
Which is just terrible because you should set the bar that high. You should set it higher than high. It should be in the sky wherever it needs to be. And I tell them that and I encourage them with that. But they're at an age, I mean, sixth grade, they're at an age where they're like, I don't know, maybe I can't do what I thought I could do. And it's like, no, there are too many adults who are normalizing the fact that they are complacent. That doesn't mean our kids have to be complacent. It means that they need to be world changers the way that they were born and made to be. And that's a little soapbox, I guess. But I don't know. I think back to being in school, and I think I'm awfully motivated by, the grades at first, but it's really just like being able to say, oh, I did that.
Yeah.
I'm done with that. I'm talking to people who did things like that. It was always the people around me that told me I was more than what sometimes I thought I was.
So that's a little tip there on both sides. So any adult in a kid's life to be able to speak truth into their life and fill
Like
them.
speak goals too.
Yeah.
Like think bigger than what you even thought.
Yeah, absolutely. And then for anybody that's young in age, you just weren't gifted with all this intelligence, right? You had to work on it and work on it and work on it, and you're already very good
Mhm.
at your talent. So those are a couple good things. Anything else that you would say, hey, look, make sure you do this. So definitely the self-awareness,
Yeah.
no excuses, um, kind of thing. And
Knowing
just
who you are. That's a
knowing,
big one.
yeah. So we have those things. Anything else?
I think talking with you about it too, just don't be inactive because you're obviously like you do have these gifts, and this is what
Mhm.
and connecting it to you do have these gifts. You were given them for a reason. Of course, you're gonna have to work on it, but first you have to start. Like you just
Mhm.
have to start by doing something. And I think a lot of times that's the worst part. Like if you're going to work out, right? And you're thinking, oh, well, maybe tomorrow. Maybe I'll start eating better tomorrow. Maybe I'll start doing this tomorrow. And it's always like you're putting it off, you're pushing it off. And it's, you just have to start by doing something. It's anything at all. So I think I get bored when I'm not doing something. And that's just naturally who I am, or maybe how I've been hardwired growing up. But you can't just hope on a star that it'll happen. You have to, be the star. I don't know, go after it, do
Yep.
something.
Okay. Yeah, that's
So,
good. I mean, those are three good things. I mean, obviously, folks, not an all-inclusive list.
oh
Hope,
yeah,
hope this would inspire somebody. It's not magic. It wasn't luck.
no, it was
I mean,
hard. I mean, and I think
lots of hard work.
it's easy to gloss over like, oh, I'm here now.
Yeah.
Oh, it happened, but it wasn't like that. It was okay. Here's this. Here's that. Here's that. How can I go through this? How can I go through? It's like you're constantly problem solving,
Hmm.
but you can't be discouraged when the problem takes a longer time than you thought it would, or the solution's not exactly the way you thought it was going to be. So,
Yeah. And then finally, no excuses, and don't rest on your laurels. Make something happen.
yeah,
Move in a direction. Um, Even if you don't know what direction,
right, right.
do something. Go ahead and make sure I hear a lot of great leaders always say, fail quick, right? Fall down, pick yourself back up, and
We
get
say
moving.
fail up.
Fail up.
Mhm.
Good. All right. So you think if your kiddos saw this, they would get inspired by this? I think.
Hope so.
All right. I think they will too. So we'll have to wait to see some of their comments. But hopefully, if you're a parent, if you're somebody that's a little bit younger in age, hopefully that inspires you. If you want more information, check us out, centerforvictory.com. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, and just remember, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, make this your best day yet. We'll see you soon.